So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say to y'all, it is Friday night. It is a little after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you're now rocking with the best, the tag team champs, universal champs, intergalactic champs, intercontinental champs, Milky Way and Galaxia, all that good stuff. The play callers. And as you can see, we are joined by Mr. JJ Charm City Wizard, JJ Jenkins himself.
What's going on?
And guess
Looking like the Dapper Don over there tonight.
Happy to be a part of the team. Happy to talk got 30 minutes.
Oh, we can't hear you good now, sir. I think you got too far away.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, sir.
I said,
but yeah,
better to talk basketball than the last time for the first 30 minutes to recap old wound. So,
hey man, it is what it is, man. It happens. Things happen, but guess what?
Very true.
Us. So we gonna be moving forward, and we gonna see. I'm gonna show everybody. We gonna show everybody. Shock the world, baby. That's what you do.
I got enough turmoil in my own team for the off season to worry about anybody else. Right. I haven't got time.
As we'll talk about later, college basketball wise, I've got a lot to deal with as well. But that's all good because you know what? It's sports, baby. And what more do you have?
Bros didn't come before the girls that time with them.
Well, yeah. So we'll get into some of that, but we'll start off here. As always, over here just beside me, we see my guy, Steven Box. What up, Steve?
What's up, y'all? What's up?
So listen, we about to get it popping. There's a lot of different things we are going to be discussing. Let's see, but we're going to start off with what I think is something we should be discussing first off, and that's a recap of the NBA All-Star Weekend. So we'll start off discussing the celebrity game. So to me, this is the only point that I'm going to make about the celebrity game. The celebrity game was the most exciting full game of the entire weekend. They played hard. They were trying to win. The MVP deserved it. Both coaches did their thing. And there was passion amongst the players that were playing, right? That's something we didn't see on Sunday. So I love the celebrity game, and I think that's one of the highlights of the weekend. So shout out to the celebrity game, man, because without y'all, we wouldn't have had a real basketball game the entire weekend.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that in full because I do feel like with the Rising Stars that the format where they play multiple games, I think kind of made that fun. And the championship game, I really felt like they kind of locked in. They were actually playing. So I disagree that that was the only game we had where people were playing.
Yeah, so you missed a very important word, the only full game that we played. Those were not full games. Those were truncated games played by the rules of the big three. As far as you score so many points, you're out. Those are truncated games. There are only two real games, 4 quarters or some semblance of 4 quarters, where teams played each other, and this was the only real one.
If that's gonna be our criteria, then I would agree with you.
I just at this point it's almost laughable how bad it's gotten.
Yeah, but we're gonna talk about that later. We'll get to that later. We're just talking about right now. I know you missed the beginning. We're just talking about the celebrity game.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to see the celebrity game, but I'm always excited to see celebrities play because the one thing they talk about is how tired they are after playing the dang game.
They actually played. That's why they were actually out there attempting to win. Like, so they were attempting to play defense. Like, right, they just weren't allowing guys to go by them and saying, "Oh, I don't want to touch him because he might get hurt." They weren't doing that.
Because Lisa coach, right? One of the coaches, right?
I believe it was her and Giannis, if I remember correctly.
Shout out to her in the game. Yeah, 20 years later.
Now on to the Rising Stars Challenge, which I think is the most competitive game-like event of the weekend because you do have professional players playing. They're young. They're not at the point yet where they're worried about, hurting somebody because they all think they're invincible. Um, and they put on a good game, even in the earlier games. And then because of the way it's structured, I think it makes you have to play from the beginning, but also you're trying to make a name for yourself in the NBA. So this is your opportunity against your peers and not having to go against the stars of the game, but the other peers in your same age group and for the most part, except for a couple of special guys, skill group. So I always enjoyed it. I like the new format for that because of where it's placed on Friday nights. But one of the things I'll get to later is I think that needs to be our game on Sunday night. It needs to go back to a real game. But I'm jumping ahead of myself with that. I will come back and explain that later. Mr. Box, what are your thoughts?
I mean, man, for me, I definitely feel like the All Star game is, you know, not the feature event anymore, right? And it hasn't honestly been for a long time. I would much rather watch the Rising Stars or the celebrity games. So, in terms of putting those into those primetime slots, I'd rather have them there because that's what I'd rather watch.
Dude.
Yeah, I was looking forward to the Rising Stars because that is the future of this league. When you think about it, like these guys, if they want to make their name for it, they play in this game to get to the next level. Damian Lillard played in this game when he got to the All-Star game as a rookie and a sophomore. I like Rising Stars, but I think I like the rookie and sophomore, idea better because, like I said, they compete. They haven't got hurt. They haven't had somebody in their ear telling them to rest or whatever the case may be. And I just think, it's the most competitive we're going to get out of the professional basketball players for that year, for that season. I mean, for that particular All-Star break. And this one was good. Grand Theft Alvarado is one of my favorite players, so I was really happy to see him. I like that moment where he said, he bet Donovan Mitchell that he'd get dinner, and then he actually hit that shot and got that dinner. Like, the Rising Stars game is really where it's at because you see the young guys. You see, like, okay, who's the next one that's going to make that Giannis type jump or that SGA or John Morant type jump? Who's going to be that guy? And then you saw a guy that has had comparisons to your guy in Denver, and they call him Baby Joker and Alperen Şengün up in Houston. And I like that, you get to see different players and how they kind of look like other guys, even though they may not be as great as those guys. So I did like the Rising Stars. But as far as the other game, I don't know if I'm with y'all.
No. And then we get to Saturday. Obviously, there's some other events that we're kind of going to mention, but not really talk about. Like they had the HBCU Classic, which I love. It was actually a pretty solid game, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that because there are, the college players, and that will remain focusing, of course, on the NBA. But shout out to the NBA for doing this game. And if you have the opportunity, if you have like Hulu or some of the other services, or even YouTube, man, I would definitely recommend going and watch the HBCU Classic. It was a really good game to watch. Both teams were very competitive. They were well coached. They played hard. It kind of reminded you of the Rising Stars, right? Guys actually getting a platform and using it to play well and not just, try to see which team can score 200 points first. So I was, enjoyed the fact that they had that. I'm also completely purposefully glancing over the All-Star game practice when there isn't even teams yet. So what were you practicing? That's just, you should have just did. I mean, honestly, you should have just had them sit down and just do a press conference. How are you going to practice if you're not even on the team? So that's asinine. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any comments on that, but for me, it's just asinine and a waste of everyone's time.
It's funny you say that, man, because honestly, I hadn't given it any thought, right? Like, I was never going to sit down and watch the practice anyways. So I really didn't think too much about it. So, but you're right. Like, how you going to practice when you have no teams? You don't even know who's playing together. What are you practicing? Jump shots? You just out there just having to shoot around like we at LA Fitness?
And then what do you practice? And then what are you exactly practicing? Y'all don't have a game plan.
Pretty much what the All-Star games turned into.
Like what my thing is, like you said, what can you practice? When you get to the game, it's just do what you want. So what exactly are you practicing? You're not practicing running a set. You're not practicing running half-court offense. You know, for me, the All-Star game lost me when they stopped doing East versus West, to be very honest with you. That's when they lost me, because I don't care how bad or how dominant one side is. It was a pride thing for me. I grew up loving the blue of the Eastern Conference, playing NBA Live and 2K, and you get the best players on East versus the best players on the West. I grew up like that. I don't. Yeah. Once they had this, I haven't even given. I only watched it for the first 2 days. I don't really care to watch the All-Star game at all.
What's up, Rod? Appreciate you hopping in and checking us out too, man. We're just right now discussing the NBA All-Star weekend. So on to All-Star Saturday night. The skills competition, blah. I mean, you know, one team won, but Team Giannis couldn't even play because Giannis, you know what I'm saying? Well, Team Antetokounmpo couldn't play because of Giannis' situation. They couldn't even really compete. That's really hard. I'm going to say this. There's two things that I really thought were horrible. I did think it was going to be three, actually, because I thought the dunk contest was going to be trash juice too. But it was actually a little bit better than I thought it would be. I'll be honest, I didn't watch it, so I have to let someone else talk about it. I did see the highlights of the actual dunks everybody did, but I just watched the XFL instead because that was more fun for me. But in regards to the skills competition, is trash. You need to go back to individual players, let them do the skills and just have, like, you know, them compete in a round robin tournament. This 3-team thing is just terrible. It looks terrible. You've got guys at different skill levels trying to play together and doing these. No, it's just not. It's not where it's at. I'm not tuning into that again either. Then we have the 3-point contest. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Sweet stroke. I loved it. Highlight of the Saturday things for me, and of course there was the slam dunk contest. And you know, if you guys watched it, you could talk about it. But like I said, I saw the highlights. There was some impressive dunks, but there's no showmanship anymore. And the XFL game was better.
Wow, JJ, I'm gonna let you give your thoughts.
Oh, I didn't watch the dunk contest. I didn't care. Still don't care. I don't care how much hype somebody gets. I didn't really care. Like, it's not the same. And I mean, I'll be that nostalgia person. The skills challenge, what I thought was funny was I watched the first round of the skills challenge. I was like, the team that plays here did one of the worst performances on the skills challenge. That's funny. I started laughing.
And they ended up winning.
And they ended up winning, right? But you saw how you had the team Antetokounmpo, whatever the case. And then when you got to the rookies, like Jaden Ivey, Jabari Smith, all of a sudden it was like, okay, you could tell they're first timers because they really try and going all out because they just flowed through it. But the 3-point contest, I just keep reverting back to the same thing with the NBA. And I think maybe this is just what happens with progress. Sometimes progress is not good progress. And, you know, the starry ball, the money ball, like that's not, you know, what we're doing. But it's like, at the end of the day, they couldn't even make some of them. Like, you know, I feel like I feel like they're convoluting it. Like, it's getting very convoluted with all these different things. And it's like,
I actually like the money ball. I like the fact that sometimes they can't make them, right? Because the thing is, what's funny to me about it is you've got, like, the different ways that people do it. Some people put it at the end of every rack. Some people make it like all one rack or whatever. And then you get to it, and then you're like, uh-oh, I got to make these. A lot of times, like you said, they don't make them because it's more pressure. The people who seem to do the best is when they do it like you used to do back in the day, and it's just the last ball. But the people try to say, oh, I'm going to put it as the right wing rack because that's where my best percentage is. They go out there and stink it up. So I like the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you have that little bit of added pressure.
And I think with the dunk contest, I've learned over the years that the dunks we've seen Vince Carter do, Desmond Mason, all back in the day, those were dangerous dunks. Like, they weren't exactly like the most safest dunks nowadays. And when you look at these players and how much they don't want to get hurt and stuff like that, they ain't trying to try those dunks like that. Like, they trying to try dunks that where they can look good but not look like they can put themselves in jeopardy. So it's like, but even then, I feel like the overreaction to the dunk contest, like, I think when the boy won, all of a sudden they say like he catapulted to getting a possible chance to be a player for a contending team. And
like Rod Uncensored just said, White Iverson. Name's White Iverson because he won one dunk contest.
Like, gosh, y'all. But okay, whatever. To each his own.
So, I mean, skills contest. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch it.
Buns.
Because I'm not interested in the skills contest.
Buns.
Knew it was gonna be hot garbage.
Buns.
The 3-point contest, you know, is always good, and I agree with what Cool said. You know, I like the fact that you had the money ball in there. There's a little strategy involved in it, and it puts a little pressure on guys. You know, happy for Dame that he won, so he can go ahead and, you know, stop getting into the 3-point contest now. Now they got him one.
He the only star that actually really participates.
Yeah. So, you know, we let somebody else in there. But, you know, the good thing, man, is the league is full of 3-point shooters. So that's not a contest that's ever going to be deprived of talent.
That is very true.
Now, this is going to be my my one opportunity where I'm going to get to reverse roles with my co-host. I'm going to take the approach that he takes with black quarterbacks. Y'all give some respect to that white boy for winning the dunk contest, man. Come on.
I'm happy for him. I'll give him that.
I mean, only the second of my Caucasian brethren who have actually accomplished such a feat.
So what you're saying is,
yeah, Brent Berry.
What you're saying is this is the second person from the Caucasus Mountains that has descended and then rose
and
to
then
the
elevated. And then elevated
in the dunk contest.
He invited to the cookout, is what you're saying?
He invited to the cookout. He might be hosting the cookout.
He invited his cookout where they're gonna have raisins in the check this out.
Put raisins in the mac and cheese.
now understand. Now, when I say he hosts the cookout, they're not gonna let him do none of the cooking. They just letting him host.
Okay,
it's in his house.
Okay.
Yeah, the cooking I ain't coming. That's for sure.
Somebody else is gonna be on the grill. Don't get it twisted now. But yeah, I mean, you know, one thing I think that is really impressive about this is he actually made all his dunks on the first attempt.
That is a good point.
And I think that deserves a lot of credit because these weren't just like super simple dunks, but I appreciate the fact that he wasn't out there pulling out all these props. He was not over there like spinning the baton while trying to dunk or some nonsense like that. It was just good to see people get back to actual just technical dunks. So it was actually better than I expected. So Rod says the 96 slam contest was trash.
It's like the one that happened, I think that one is not as worse as the one that happened like a year, 2 years ago, where the first round lasted for like 30 minutes because the guys kept missing dunk after dunk.
Because nobody couldn't make none, y'all.
I want to point out something about comparing dunk contests from the 90s in a year to the dunk contest now. First of all, you had 8 people. Second of all, you missed the dunk, you got a low score, you moved on. Third of all, there was this thing that is missing now called showmanship. Now, I will admit, I'm just gonna roll with Rod said, White Iverson. He had a little showmanship, different jerseys and stuff. Like he did some things here, but you know, you think about back in the 90s, 2000s, right, early 2000s. You know, you had Dwight Howard out there with the Superman thing on, playing and all that, right? You had Aaron Gordon going in, right? He got robbed by Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade, you're a coward for that, and different things. But you had so many guys that they brought that showmanship, like the lean back, the double pumps, like the things that made you look and be like, yeah, that's dunk contest. So that's not something you're gonna do in a regular game. Now you have these are dunks that not all of them, but a good portion of things that you do in a game. So when you compare it, it's so watered down now. And my co-host makes the perfect point of why it's so watered down. Give him props because he made a dunk on the first try. Why? You should only have one try. You get it or you don't. One try. That's what we had back in the day. You didn't get 2 minutes to do a dunk. And then if you make it, yay. If you didn't, boo. You got one try. You miss it,
Yep.
you take that 1, 2, or whatever you get, and you keep it moving. That normally costs you the dunk contest. But guess what? Make the dunk, and you don't have to worry about it. So there's so much that's given now, and you still don't have the same quality, and they're giving them the opportunity to go do it over and over and over. And I think that's another piece of why the dunk contest is not as interesting as it was. Another thing for me, the stars don't participate. Ja Morant's already talking about he's not going to do a good dunk contest.
He said
LeBron James never did.
Or something like that.
Ja Morant said he is not doing the dunk contest. They offered him the dunk contest. He declined. He said he's not doing the dunk contest. All the stars now, the young stars, except for one guy. There's one guy that I don't want you to get anywhere near the dunk contest, and that is Zion Williamson. I don't even want you to dunk in the game. You shoot later.
I want Ant-Man in the contest. I want Anthony Edwards. I want him.
I don't think he's going to do it either.
True.
Because see what's, and this is the one time I don't knock LeBron, but I do knock him, but I don't. LeBron didn't do it, so everyone's following that lead. And I'm not saying that like, oh, LeBron's trash. I'm just saying when he didn't do it, now people feel like, well, LeBron been in the league 19 years and he ain't do it. I ain't doing it. So what I think you're going to have to do is what they're kind of doing now. Try to grab some of the young guys, maybe grab a guy or two from the G League. Go back to 8 people and just do one dunk. You don't need 3 minutes to dunk. You make it or you don't.
That's a good point. If you know you have to make
flair. Yeah, that's the flair.
Your first shot.
Run a dunk.
Y'all crazy. You're going to be and make sure the most important part is to complete the dunk.
Yeah, because remember, it was first one and done. Then like around mid-90s, you had the second chance. Now as you get like, what, a minute or whatever it is, you know, even if you go back to just you get one more extra chance. So like you miss a dunk, you get one more time to do one. I can even accept that. But this getting all this time, it's got to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the other problem, man, is because the players who are in there now, nobody really knows much about these guys going into it, right? I mean, you might be familiar with some of the names, but you don't really know anything about them. Whereas when we talk about these legendary contests, right, occasionally it's because there was one guy who dominated, right? Like the Vince Carter, right? You're like, oh, you know, yeah. Well, I mean, even Spud Webb, remember, like, you know, that was during the era where you had Jordan competing. That's where you had Dominique competing. So, you know, you had other guys on there besides just Spud Webb, right? But those guys, because they were all stars, they were competing with each other, right? And that's what made it fun, because they're on that trash talking each other. They're pushing each other. You know, you go out there and do a dunk. Well, now I got to go out there and do a better dunk than what you did. Whereas now it just seems is all that people really care about is what kind of craziness can I come up with that's going to get me talked about on TikTok.
Oh, and plus you can't push other people anymore, man. You can't like be aggressive towards the other guys or want to one up each other, because, you know, we're all friends and we all play AU together and we all sing Kumbaya and our families hang out together and everything. So I wouldn't want to go out there and upstage you, buddy.
This is true. This is true.
You said it, buddy.
The buddy buddies.
Yep. So, gentlemen, we will move on to the trash. Let me repeat. Trash. One more time. Trash. Sunday. So, when we talk about the All-Star game, I just want to say, I understand why it was the lowest rated All-Star game. It was hot, steaming monkey poo in trash juice with fresh poo on top, sitting in a small container in the sun in Florida on the beach. That's how much that stunk. That was disappointing.
That was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. I'm disappointed in the league for putting that out. And I am also including that farce that they call draft as well. I completely agree with Mr. Charm City Wizard. The minute that you stopped East versus West, you became garbage. All you did was make this a recruiting trip for LeBron. And it's obviously not working, but it is a recruiting trip for LeBron. He's always the leading vote getter. It is in the East, it rotates between Giannis and KD. That's pretty much what it is.
I think they knew at the time when he was in the East, sorry to cut you off, the East was getting pummeled by All-Stars and LeBron was in the East. And so I think they did that to balance it out so he get a chance to win the All-Star game with whatever team he's on.
Well, I mean, he's going to run from team to team anyway, so you didn't have to worry about that. I mean, he doesn't win. He ain't staying in there. For me, man, you have to figure out something better. My suggestion, and I'll let you guys go and give your thoughts as well. My first suggestion would be, if this is the best you got, just don't do it. Right? My second suggestion would be, this time play horse. Horse would be better than this. But my second suggestion would be move this game to like Friday night or Saturday. Maybe Saturday during the daytime. Take the Rising Stars game, make that an actual full game, give them like 20-minute quarters, and let them go out and play on Sunday evening. You can put something else before this, because you don't have to have a stupid draft. You could take Saturday night and still pretty much leave it like it is. I would like the 3-point contest. Definitely like it is. Skills needs to go back to actual skills competition. Just get you a field of like 10 guys, round robin tournament, knock it down, final 2, and let's get it done. But I just think there's not really a way to save this game unless you're gonna go big 3 and just have them play 3-on-3. Each group played at like 15, and then the winner is whoever has the most points throughout or something like that, because it's just gotten to the point where they're not out there to play. And if they're not out there to play, what's the point? They're just out there to dunk, shoot shots. They don't even care about, back in the day, at least the last half of the fourth quarter, you got a real game. You don't even get that now. They just go down and shoot threes.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, man, I honestly, I don't know that you can save it. Unless you can come up with a way to make guys care about it, I don't think you can save it. As long as the players don't care, there's no reason for the fans to.
Now, there is a way to save it. I think it may work. And I'll let you go after this. I just want to throw this out there. You can think about this too. Go back to East versus West. And whoever wins, their conference gets home field in the finals.
Ooh. That's a slope to go down, because you're going to get the best team with the Western Conference team. The number 1 seed makes the finals, but because they lost the All-Star game, which some of their players may not have been able to have control over, I understand the idea, but I can see a little bit of a, why they got to get home field? We got the best record in the league.
Look at all the other sports, sir. Look at all the other major sports that's what they do. And that makes the guys play.
I'm going to add something else to that, JJ. Could we not make the exact same argument for a team that finishes the season in the 8th seed, but loses out on the playoffs because they lost a game against the 7th seed and then lost a game against the 9-10 seed?
Oh, I'm not a fan of the play-in at all.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the NBA has already basically done this. The NBA's already told you, we don't care where you actually finish the regular season at. That means nothing to us.
I think at the end of the day, when you look at the 8 seeds, right? I think the reason why I think it's a little bit different in terms of that sense is because historically, you're not going to think the 8 seed is going to make it all the way to win the finals or so, or even get to the finals to begin with. It's probability that a top 3 to a top 2 seed can make it all the way. And so if they lose out, if the AC loses out on the playoffs because of the play-in tournament, I don't think it stings as hard as a 1 seed losing out on home field advantage in a playoffs, which is a big deal and help you win a title because of something they couldn't control with the All-Star game.
But guess what? You didn't know you were going to get there until the end of the season. Everybody in your conference should have been playing hard for you to win.
And if the Western Conference or whatever, say, like, just as an example, let's say that you're the number 1 team in the West, if your conference is so superior that you are that much better than the number one team in the East, it really shouldn't be an issue because the West should win the All-Star game anyways, right?
But that depends. Remember, there's 3 factors. Fans vote people in that probably shouldn't have been there. Like, people thought that Jrue Holiday or other people got in. There's too much. Like, some guys that got All-Stars.
Fans don't vote them in. Fans don't vote them in. The coaches vote them in. The fans only do the fans only do the starters. The backups are voted by the coaches.
Okay. It's just at the end of the day, yeah. It's like, but then you have to sit out. Then you're not like. Like you said, you gotta find something that's gonna be very competitive. And I know I gotta wrap this up because I didn't realize what time it was. You know how I am. But I'm with you. I just think go back to East versus West. Like, I have never been somebody that cared that, when LeBron was in the East, the East is so weak or whatever. Bro, they're basketball players. It just so happens that those players got on those teams. Now all of a sudden, the East looks strong, but the West don't look as strong. Well, now just got stronger, but the East is on the same level. Like, I didn't care if we could have lost 10 times in a row. You were the better seat, the better conference. But if we beat you, that was bragging rights. Like, used to play harder back in the day because you had the bragging rights of your conference.
It mattered.
But to be fair, but here's the thing. We also have to remember it wasn't just about East versus West, though. You have to think about the guys that were on the court. Those were competitive guys to begin with. They wanted to beat each other.
Right.
As Cole pointed out earlier, these guys now, they buddies. Right. They don't want to beat each other. They don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. They don't want to go out there and, make their friends sad that night because they lost. So
you're right. The AAU is really what people said. That's what started this, because AAU, these guys got to know each other, become friends, and it's. Yeah. Sorry, I saw a message come in. I was surprised, but yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying.
So even if you go back to East versus West, we're gonna still have the same problem. The players ain't gonna care.
That's why you add the piece of you get the home field advantage. That's why you add that piece in there, sir. That's why it has to be both. If you just go back to East versus West, you may get a little bit more competitive because you may have a couple of guys get chippy with each other because everybody's not friends, right? There's a couple of guys don't like each other. So you may get a little chippiness, but if you also put in there, hey, we know we're not at the end of the year yet and a lot could change, but guess what? You're deciding right now if whoever makes it from the West is going to be the home or the away team. We already going to know all that once this game is over. That should be played on Saturday, not Sunday, because it still won't be as exciting as Rising Stars game.
Yeah. And JJ, just throwing this out there for you. You talked about how, an AC is not somebody you normally expect to go anyways, and why that's a valid point. Doesn't it seem a little weird that we're taking a team that was already fighting an uphill battle, having to face the 1 seed, and we're going to make them play an extra 2 games, possibly?
Oh, for sure. Like,
JJ don't like it either. I mean,
I was sitting there thinking, I'm at the other day, I'm like, if you ain't make it, you ain't make it. Period.
I mean, if you were to say today, we're not going to do that anymore, I would not care one bit. I get the reason that they're doing this because it's like their way of getting an extra team, extra 2 games in for each conference. Extra teams have a chance to be in the playoffs. I get why they're doing it, but I mean, it doesn't add anything. Right?
It's trash.
Thing for me. And on top of that, delaying the inevitable anyway. Let's say the 10 seed makes it and has to face that vaunted 1 seed. It's just gonna look weird when you see 1 versus 8, which used to be 10, and then they get their butt blown, and they're gonna sit there and be like, well, you never should have been there in the first place. Well, that's your fault for doing the play-in. Because a team could get hot in this league on one night, and that'd be the one night that get them into the playoffs.
And the thing is, you could be 8th and move up to 7th, right? Or you could be 7th and stay at 7th. But 9 and 10 never have a chance to be in the day by 8th anyway.
And on top of that, you could be a 7 seed. A 7 seed have the same record as a 6 seed, but because you had a worse conference record, you're in the play-in, and then you lose out because of something to a team that has 10 games or 4, 5, or 6 games under you. That's crazy. I'd be the first team. I would raise double hockey sticks on everybody if I was like 50 and 32 or 45 and 37, and I got to lose. I can't go to the playoffs.
If you're 45 and 37 and you in the 7th seed or the 6th seed, you need to go sit down somewhere.
I mean, the possibility. Wrong.
I'm just saying, man. If you got 45 wins and you still only 6 or 7, you need to go sit down somewhere.
But you know what the argument from people is going to be is,
But you do make sense. Though.
if you're that much better, then you should be able to beat that team. But we all know the problem is when it's a when it's a one-off game, anything can happen in a game.
Yeah. We just saw Charlotte earlier in the year blow out the Bucks with Giannis playing.
Anything can happen in one game. I mean, the thing is,
right.
The great thing about the NBA playoffs is that the better team almost always wins a series.
True.
Because over a 7-game series, the more talented team, the team with the better coaching, wins the series.
Yep.
The great thing about college basketball and March Madness is the fact that upsets happen because it's only one game.
It's all one game. And that's the expectation, though. Like, you're going into that knowing everybody. So it's not just the teams at the bottom, right? Everybody knows from their first game, you lose and you go home. Mm-hmm. So that's what, so it's across the board. That's the expectation. Yep. So Steven, real quick, Ryan had a comment here about the Lakers are clicking right now. What are your thoughts on the Lakers, quote unquote, clicking right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, the moves that they made have been huge, right? They actually last night had, I think it was 5 or 6 guys that were all over 10 points, and AD and LeBron both only played like 26 minutes. They actually were 3 guys on the team to score more points than LeBron and AD. So, to me, what that speaks to is that LA fixed the biggest problem that they had, which was they were super reliant on LeBron and AD. The fact that you're able to get those guys some rest, load their time a little bit, especially AD, keep him healthy, that definitely gives you a better chance to go out there. And the fact that you have other guys. Now, D'Lo, did sprain his ankle, no structural damage, so he's day-to-day. Probably going to be out Sunday, but then after that might be okay to come back. So we have to kind of monitor what happens with that. But you've got other guys that can actually step up and hit, shots right now. They can go out there and create on offense. We've actually got guys that can hit 3-pointers. So, and you got some guys who are actually young enough to go play defense. So, to me, this is a transformed team. I still stand by what I said before. The talent is there for them to win a championship this year. The question is going to be, can AD and LeBron both stay healthy? Because the reality is when you start getting into 7-game series with some of the top dogs in the West, you're going to need LeBron and AD to be monsters to win those series. You're not going to be able to win those series with those guys being your 4th and 5th top scorers. You're going to need those guys to actually go out there and perform. So I love what I'm seeing. And I'm looking forward to, seeing how many of these guys they can bring back next year and what they do with them next year. But I'm still a little trepid about this season. I'm not ready to go all in on they competing for a championship right now.
Fair enough.
Can I chime in on that quick?
Yeah.
Have at it, sir.
So I was very impressed with how they played the Golden State Warriors the other night. And yes, they're without Steph, but this has been a team that part of the reason why they feel like they're dangerous is because they have the ability to win and be able to shoot without Steph and stuff. And I agree with everything. They're younger, they're faster. They the defensive tenacity of them the other night, because they were causing turnovers left and right. Having Jared Vanderbilt, that energy guy who's going to get those boards and stuff. Because in a playoff series, you need those gritty guys. You need those guys that are going to do what they need to do. You look back at I'll take you back way back in 2010 when the Lakers won the title in that Game 7. All Kobe could talk about was how Ron Artest was gritty and gutty and doing what needs to be done to help them win this game. Like, you need guys like that. And I think it's possible. I made a post about this earlier in the last week, but these next 9 games is pretty much, in my opinion, going to feel like the season for them, because they're all against teams that are ahead of them or teams they need to beat. And the other night against the Warriors was a very good start. And, Anthony Davis is healthy. LeBron, he looked charged up. They looked very good. And I've always felt all season long, when they were going through their struggles early on and all that stuff, I've always felt like they had talent on that team. I've always felt like they had good players. And I feel like Darvin was instilling a system that was going to work. It just needed time. And I think that they got better shooters. They got my boy from DC, Rui Hachimura. Then they had my man Malik Beasley, who was killing it in Utah. And I think, that whole idea that he's going to have the issue with Scottie Pippen was like not even carries. But I think they just looked very good. That was a good win. I don't know if they're going to have enough to catch up to a 6 seed, but I definitely think I agree that if you have to play them, you better bring it, because they are the type of team on a 1-game night that could take down a team that is, let's say, possibly a better team roster-wise, which could be the Warriors or could be the Clippers if they fall out of the top 6 or anything.
I mean, any of them, right? Because at the end of the day, it's one game. Anybody can be beat in one game, right? And that's the thing.
And like you guys said, I'm sorry to cut you off on that one, but when you win in playoffs, you need superstars. They got two, and they got two that know what it takes to win, that know what it takes to win a playoff series, that know what it takes to do what they need to do. LeBron has been in the playoffs so many times. Anthony Davis knows how to win a championship as well with LeBron. So when you got those guys on your team, and you got the gritty guys that just want to come out and ball like they got with Vanderbilt, Beasley, Schroeder, Austin Reeves. I ain't gonna lie, Austin Reeves could play. That man got a little talent on him. And you got these guys falling.
I just want to say, man, you sound like a Lakers fan today, man. I'm feeling like well, you got some purple. Is it a purple strip and then a gold shirt? Because you sound like a Lakers fan right now. You done talked about the whole team, and the only thing you ain't done so far is talk about who was traded away for who and what the salary cap situation look like for next year.
JJ, put your glass in the air. Let me see what color Kool-Aid you got. I think it's a little purple and gold Kool-Aid over there, bro.
He going deep on the
welcome to the squad, man. Welcome to the squad.
Listen, I've watched them a lot because Anthony Davis has won me a lot of money. Okay, Anthony Davis has won me a lot of money.
And the thing with it is, though, I feel you on that, but here's the funny part about it is he ain't gonna win you no money if you get hurt again. Can't win no money.
True.
So
unless he bet on getting hurt.
That's the biggest concern. Always has been with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, their playoffs depend on his health. Honestly,
that's what it is. I mean, we know what it is.
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes left, and we still got some NCAA basketball to discuss here. So, what I'm gonna do this week here, we're just gonna kind of go through the top 25. If there's anybody that sticks out to you, any team you want to, just give a quick thought on, have at it once we go through it. But just want to go through and give people some information here, because we started switching to that almost March Madness here, like next week. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be in March, so it's time to get to it. So with the men's basketball top 25, at 25 we got Texas A&M, the 21-17, 24 TCU, 21-7. Excuse me, I said 17, 21-7.
Gosh,
TCU.
They let anybody top 25 these days.
Right? 24. First of all, how you play like 50 games, but yeah, TCU 24, 18-10. Iowa State 17-10 and 23rd. 22nd San Diego State 22-5. 21 Northwestern at 20-8. Any thoughts on that 5 right there, guys? We'll just break it up into 5 so that way, if you have anything, you don't have to hold it too long.
Well, man, this is all you and JJ right here, man. So
I'll be honest with you. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of college basketball this season, but I will say the one thing I'll say is, if this world and everybody claims that they hate the Blue Buds and they want somebody different, this is the year. This is the year. And you said in the top the 5 teams, you have some of these teams that, like, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of bad that you 18-10 and you ranked. I'm not gonna lie.
And they're not the only 18-10 team that's ranked. So we'll get to that. At number 20, we got Providence at 20-8. At number 19, we have Creighton at 18-10. At 18, we have UConn at 21-7. At 17, Indiana 19-9. At 16, Xavier 20-8. So we got 2 teams with less than 20 wins in the top 20 right here.
It's kind of crazy to me because that team when you think about the tournament, the 68, they always say the top 25 teams give it, right? I remember a Houston squad that was 18-13 and made the playoffs because they won their tournament, and it's a chance that a team is 18-10 right now, and they are ranked. Like, I think it's a problem, and it's like, it just doesn't look good to me. I respect like the Blue Bloods of UConn and Xavier trying to come up, but come on, man.
Now let's get to the next 5. St. Mary's is 25-5 at 15. St. Mary's is 25-5. Yes, you heard that correct. Kansas State is 14, 21-7. Miami of Florida is 23-5. They're 13th. Gonzaga is 12th at 24-5, which is actually pretty low for Gonzaga. Tennessee is 11th at 20-8. Any thoughts on that 5?
Now we're getting to possible contenders and possible miracle runs and stuff, because I think Tennessee is a team to watch out for. Like, I think Tennessee plays great defense. They're not like LSU's defense on the basketball side where they're full court pressure. Their defense is just half court, and it's impenetrable sometimes. And the way they play, you can get on a run and feed off that energy from game to game in a tournament. I think that's a team that you want to be on the lookout for. Kansas State, I give them respect because they're in a tough conference to win. So it makes sense why they're highly ranked at 21-7, because you're going against Texas, Baylor, Kansas, and all them. But out of that team crop, I think Tennessee is the one that you want to look out for the most.
I like Miami. They're 15-0 at home. They're playing an ACC where some of the teams that are normally really good are not. But hey, that's not Miami's problem. They're going out there and they're handling business, right?
You're a fan of one of them.
I'm a fan of their football team. I don't care less about their basketball team, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their basketball team means nothing to me. But when you're playing well, you're playing well. They're 23-5. 5 losses all year, all on the road, and they've won 7 in a row. So the only team that has a longer winning streak is number 1 Houston.
No, I was talking about you're a fan of the Tar Heels, and they.
What's up, Coach Dante?
I was saying you're not the fan of the Hurricane. I was saying you're a fan of the Tar Heel.
Oh yeah,
and y'all have just unfortunately. Well, we talk about that in a second because you already know where I'm about to go with that one.
Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and drop the whole top 10 real quick. So we got Marquette at 10, 22-6. Baylor 20-8 at 9th place. Texas 22-6 8th. Arizona 24-4 7th. At 6 we have Virginia 21-5. That's the highest ranked ACC team. You notice there wasn't as many as normal. Number 5 we have Purdue at 24-5. At number 4 we have UCLA 24-4. Number 3 Kansas 23-5, the defending champs. Number 2 Alabama 24-4. And number 1 Houston at 26-2.
Kelvin Sampson, this is your time. Now is the time. This team has been in the top 5 and perennial top 3 seed in the tournament for I think the last 3 years. They've been a 2 seed or a 3 seed or a 1 seed. But I think when you got to Kansas, that's when I was like, that is, in my opinion, the national champion. I think they're going to run it back because they survived the Big 12 where, they thought that, Baylor was going to come up in there, Texas was going to come up in there, all that other stuff. And Bill Self, he's a championship winning coach. I will say a dark horse is, and I've seen a team I remember a couple years ago when Michigan was like a team that was an NIT team, but they won the tournament and made it all the way to the finals and lost, or as Final Four, whatever. I will say this with your team. If y'all get the tournament and y'all make it to the NCAA tournament, there is a chance to worry about you guys because you have the talent on that squad. You have my opinion. I thought this was going to be the player of the year, Armando Bacot. You got talent on this team to run. If you can work out whatever y'all working out, y'all are dark horse to make, in my opinion, because, it's a blue blood. It's one of the more I've on my entire life, I've always respected, as much as I've hated them, how North Carolina went about their business. I've always respected that ever since Roy Williams got there and afterwards. I've always respected that team. It was a team that if I saw them on there, I'm not going to just automatically pencil them out. I'm going to, like, you know what? This team is too rich, too prestigious to just falter. And
I'm gonna say this. Okay. I don't want to talk about North Carolina a lot because I don't want to take the shine away from teams who are actually playing good. But I'm gonna say these two things. So number one, Kansas. What's impressive about Kansas is you lost a lot of the players from that team, right? You still have players, don't get me wrong, but you lost a lot of the prominent players from that team, and you still are sitting in a prime position to be a number one seed the next year, and have an opportunity to win a championship. Now, on the other hand, we have the runner-up in the North Carolina Tar Heels. It's not coaching. So before those people want to say it's not coaching, it's something among the players themselves. And there's a lot of rumors, but I feel like it's more than one thing. There's not just like one thing. There's something going on among different players on that team where they're just not playing together like they need to the entire time. But you do realize if North Carolina does not make the tournament, the first time ever, a preseason number one, a team that was ranked number one, will not make the tournament.
That would test the mental resolve of your players to have that on them after this season.
They all gone. What do you mean? They all gone.
I thought Caleb Love had like one more.
Caleb Love is going to the NBA after this season. He is not coming back to college. He only came back this year to try to win another championship or try to win a championship. He is gone. Baycott's gone. Davis might be back. We hopefully will actually play Seth Trimble next year, a true point guard.
I hope that
a lot of those guys are going to be gone.
I hope those rumors are not true, because if that is the case, it's like, bro.
I'm going to just say this about the rumors for me. Until we find out that it's more than just rumors, I'm not even addressing that. Like I need proof. I need more before I'm even going to touch that nonsense. I'm not saying it's not true, but I need concrete evidence before I'm going to, really buy into that. Because like I said, it feels like more than one person, so I can't say it's all because of one potential situation. But Duke, on the outside looking in too, a lot of people been loving on Duke, but hey, they in the same situation as the Tar Heels. So
let them burn. Let them burn.
It is what it is. It happens.
Let them burn. It's just gonna take some time. But I will say, a team I say is another dark horse I want to say as well as they reside in Los Angeles and they were in the title game I think 2 years ago. Is UCLA. I think UCLA is a team that can get on a run, much like they did the year they made the tournament, the title, because nobody expected them. I like UCLA. I think that, but I think Kansas is above and beyond the only blue blood that seems to last, a traditional basketball blue blood that lasts throughout the season in the top 10.
Oh, right? Yeah. Everybody else is just, they don't know what they're doing. And hey, it's different reasons for the teams, but you have those years. But hey, next year's coming. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But we'll hop over to the women's because, like I said, I don't want to get a team that's not even in the top 25 too much time, because whether they normally are or not, they don't deserve too much time because they can't get there. If you let 25 teams be better,
you're right. You
sit down. I don't care who you are. Sit down somewhere. All right. So on to the women's side. So the women, number 25, we have Middle Tennessee State, 22-4. Number 24, we have UNLV, 26-2. Number 23, my co-host will be happy to hear, the Florida State Seminoles, Lady Seminoles, 23-7. Number 22, the UNC Tar Heel women at 19-9. Number 21, Colorado, 21-7. Any thoughts on those teams, Mr. Jenkins?
Let's see. I am a shout out to the Middle Tennessee State team because they've always been like a mid-major that seems to be able to make it to the tournament. Shout out these girls trying. Unfortunately, in the women's girl, it's a lot less parity than normal, and so it's significantly a lot less parity. Period. So it's like, unfortunately, like, it's sad, but it's like you want to believe and hope for them, but realistically, they're going to come across a team that is just too much.
Agreed. So the next five will go Iowa State at 20, 17 and 8. Texas at 19, 21 to 17. At 18, we have the Lady Gonzaga team at 26 and 3. Kind of interesting that they're all the way down at 18. They have 3 losses. Kind of questionable there. At 17, we have UCLA at 21 and 8. And in the 16, Ohio State at 23 and 6.
Ohio State has a chance to kind of make some noise because they play in a tough conference in the Big Ten. You know, you're going to see a couple of the teams that are in the Big Ten that are way in the high in the rankings, and so they know how to play good teams on a back-to-back basis, because that's how they're used to when they're playing like the Indianas, the Iowas, the Marylands. You know.
True. All right, so we'll go with the next 5, and then I have one comment on that 5. So Villanova at 15 is 24 and 5. Arizona at 14 is 21 and 7. Oklahoma at 13th is 22 and 4. Michigan is 12th at 21 and 7. Duke is 11th at 24 and 4. So I just want to say it looks like that Duke's got a chance to play with women's basketballs, it seems like, for the most part of the season, because they've only lost 4 games.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I respect Villanova because Villanova has a possible player, a dark horse player of the year in Maddie Siegrist, who I think could drop 30 plus, 30, 40 plus on the team if need be, but she's the only player they have. Like, she's the only one. But these are some decent teams. I see a couple Sweet 16, but I don't see too many Elite 8 teams yet. Maybe.
That's true. So we're going to go through this top 10. I just want to say before we even start, the Queens are on top. And I'm going to leave it at that. Number 10, we've got Notre Dame at 23 and 4. And number 9, we have Virginia Tech at 23 and 4 as well. Number 8, Utah at 24 and 3. Number 7, Maryland at 24 and 5. Number 6, Iowa at 22 and 6. Number 5, a very game LSU team at 26 and 1. Number 4, a surprise loss UConn team. Number 3, this very good Stanford team, actually. I like a couple of ladies on there. One of them, of course, is Steph's god sister. Number 2, Indiana. And number 1, like I said, the Queens, the team to beat. If they don't win a championship, I'm going to be surprised. Miss Dawn Staley, a fellow Philadelphia Eagles fan, flags fly, by the way, in South Carolina.
It's their world. We're living in it, to be honest with you. Like,
we're fighting for who's going to play against them, but they're going to be there.
I will say, if there's one team, and I had to make the comment, I made the comment on another show yesterday. I made a comment on Tip Off yesterday. If there's one team that historically over the years with their coach that has proven to handle a juggernaut and beat them, it's the number 3 team in Stanford. They're the one team that if they had to face a team like that, remember, they broke UConn's record 111-game win streak in the tournament with the 𝐏𝐿 sisters. They have faced undefeated UConns before, undefeated Tennessees before, and they have their coach and them stuff. They don't look at South Carolina and quiver in fear. They look at South Carolina as a challenge to prove that they're the best. They're going to bring their best game. So I think if there was a team that I think has the highest odds of beating them, it's Stanford. Now, dark horse, and I will say this, and I'm not saying this just because I love them, but Maryland is a dark horse. Maryland is a dark horse in the sense of they have a championship coach. They play physical style of defense, and their defense fuels their offense. And of course, if you watched the Sip Off yesterday, Megan Queen, she piloted that. But the defense fuels the offense. Maryland as well has come across dominant teams and had to have lost against them. They played South Carolina already before. You're used to playing them. You have to, when you want to beat South Carolina, that's the team you have to play a perfect game. And a perfect game involves you stealing possessions on them. And if you get a night and you hit your shots when you get them, like when you get them open looks or get them open, you better cash in. I think Maryland as a dark horse have a chance to do that. I like LSU. I do. But it did not sit well with me what happened when you faced South Carolina. And I agree with you. If South Carolina doesn't repeat, then I think it's crazy because I think Dawn Staley's team is stronger than last year's championship team, and that's scary. And you have to respect Dawn because she brings that Philly attitude down to these girls in South Carolina. They bully you. I mean,
and the Philly swag was phenomenal. Shout out to Dawn Staley. I'm going to a USC game next year and cheer on Dawn Staley and the 𝐏𝐀𝐿 ladies because she's an Eagles fan. Let's go.
She's the only person, and I made a post on this last year, that I guarantee you Gina Auriemma's looking like, hold on.
Yeah, Gina was like, how long was this ever going to be there?
And she's doing homegrown talent. She's not doing it she's getting it from South Carolina.
And they're always there, sir. It's just that you have to have the proper person that can connect with your players.
And she's the best. She's the best.
I said earlier on the show I was guesting on, I want to see her in the WNBA in a few years because the profile that she'll bring, oh my goodness. But I digress. We're going to stop there.
She's amazing. She is amazing. And they lost last year against Kentucky because of your girl who's on the Dream had a game of her life and took over, and that was one of their only losses. But they don't lose too much. Think about all the hype that Kim Mulkey LSU were getting. Now, don't get me wrong, Kim Mulkey is a strong coach.
Hey, listen, man,
it's amazing. When they
hype all day, they can have all that. But this is what I'm gonna say, and this should encompass everything, right? You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be intimidated. You don't have to be concerned to get punched in the mouth. Punched in the mouth happens no matter what. South Carolina is a team that they don't talk a lot. You start yapping. This is not actually them, but this is a visualization for you of South Carolina. They're the kid who they know that they can fight. They know they can knock you out, but they're not gonna come and tell you they can knock you out.
They're just gonna do it.
You get to their face, and there you go.
Exactly.
What Mike Tyson say? Everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
But yo, Steven, if you ever get a chance to watch them, I mean, they're relentless. They are relentless. Yeah. You think, all right, stop Aaliyah Boston. They got another girl coming off the wings.
They follow their coach. They have their coach's mentality. They have the coach's mindset. And that's why they're always going to be dangerous if they have talent.
You can tell Dawn grew up and was messing with dudes and stuff because she a straight up dude on the court, real talking, bunching. You could tell she done, but she's amazing. Like you said, she's just an amazing coach, and she gets those girls prepared every game.
Yeah, I'm going to watch them definitely.
Quick shout out, man. Had a chance to actually talk with one of the fans of our show this past week. A guy named Jeff. He said, "Man, I need y'all to talk more about all the greatness of South Carolina sports." We just did. We talked about the only great thing going on out there. So
when you have Gino,
I told him that's the only thing they had going, and he agreed. So yeah.
Now I will say this.
It's not that cold-blooded.
Now I will say this. I think what everybody's waiting on, they want to see a full strength South Carolina versus a full strength UConn with Paige Buchers and Ozzie Fudd and all of them, because Paige Buchers she that girl. She's that girl. And she's coming back next year, but I think Aaliyah's going in the draft this year, so it's not going to see that matchup.
Aaliyah is a different level. I wish we had a number one pick because I know she's going number one, but yeah, it is.
Oh, without a doubt. It would be stupid if she's not a number one pick. Like,
we can't have a number one pick every year. We got the right one. But
well, look, guys, we are at time, man. But cool.
NFL.
Maybe this weekend or early part of next week, we might maybe just do a quick separate video to post. Talk about some of this NFL stuff because we got a couple stories there we got to talk about, and then also the NBA buyout market. Got to talk a little bit about that too. So maybe we'll set aside some time. Y'all be on the lookout for the video. If you haven't, already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and then hit the notification button. So when we make that video, you'll know and you won't miss it.
And shout out to Mr. Charm City Wizard himself, JJ, for hopping on with talking a little basketball. I know my boy get a little long-winded sometimes. We working with him though.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me on.
Get a little excited sometimes. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, man.
passionate. He's passionate. That's what it is, man.
Exactly what it is. That's
I'm
exactly
the only
what
reason
it
why
is.
shows go past their limits. To be honest with you.
Well, yeah, man. I just want to shout out my little last comment. I'm not even gonna wait for this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and make it. Is for those of you who watch professional wrestling, I want to shout out Roman Reigns, right? Whether you like his character, whether you think it's ridiculous, whatever, this man has been champ for longer than John Cena total now. You know, this reign has been phenomenal. It's done a lot to pump up the product. It's done a lot for him individually, for the people who've been associated with him, either who he's been who've been challenging him, who are now allies of his. It's just been something that's elevated a lot of people, and that's the kind of stories that you want to have in professional wrestling. Because I watch it. Let's be honest. We know it's a male soap opera. It's predetermined, but that doesn't mean the injuries don't happen. That doesn't mean that there's not a story that you can tell, even though when you're the guy that's going to get pinned. So, really, really happy in what I'm seeing from that. We know WrestleMania season here is as well for those who are avid professional wrestling fans. So it's exciting times. A lot of matches are going to be announced in the next couple of weeks, but this is the time of year if you ever want to hop into like professional wrestling. Maybe you used to watch, you stopped, whatever. WrestleMania season is definitely the time that you can hop back in. Everything's hot. They're trying to get you invested so that you're going to watch that 8-hour over 2-day event.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Roman Reigns fan. He's a 49ers fan, just like me. He's from the hometown, Picola boy. So, I'll always definitely been a Roman Reigns supporter, even back when he was in the Shield, long before he became the Tribal Chief. But, you talk about, WrestleMania season and the hype, man. I mean, I have to acknowledge the crowd up there in Montreal, man, for Sami Zayn. They show bad love. They went in for him. That was just cool to see.
Big up Sami Zayn too. He's done everything that's asked of him. He didn't got WWE concerned now because they loving him too much. They don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
Great problem to have. Hopefully they don't Zack Ryder you. That's all I can say.
He's a B player.
JJ, like, what is y'all talking about?
Oh, I never.
JJ got to say, look, I had when y'all going through college basketball top 25.
Right. I was like, I was like wrestling. Oh, never mind.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those who watch, those who check out the replay, it's the Play Callers. It's your boys. We here every week. Come chop it up with us. Shout out to Rod. Shout out to Coach Dante. Shout out to everyone else who's watching but lurking. You want to make no comments today? All good. We're here with the content for you. And as always, we got the time filler, Mr. JJ Charm City Wizard, also here with us. Holla at your boys. Be here next week. Same day, back station, same bat channel.
All right.
Deuces.